Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a great rack. I've got the first blank, and I've got no duplicates. But do I have a bingo? I've only got one vowel, so it's likely that the blank would be a vowel in a bingo. So let me consider blank as an A, no, E, no, I, no, O, no, and U, no. So I'm not seeing anything. How to sort this rack out? I certainly want to split up D and G. Quite nice to hang on to the E and the R. This is quite a tricky rack. Well, what about hedgy? What about hedgy? I think that's reasonable. 34 points and a decent rack leave. I thought for a moment it wasn't good, but I was sure it was, so I must have just hit my key. So, wow, again, no duplicates and fairly balanced, but it doesn't look particularly bingo-y. However, I have two vowels this turn, so the blank may be any letter of the alphabet. I've got the up prefix, I've got the OUS ending. I have proof through an O. Let me just consider the floaters on the board and see if anything jumps to mind. Not seeing anything with the H. E probably quite useful. Nothing with the D. What about the G? Great, only 20 points for opponent. So the G goes with the H to make rough. How about the Y? And looking at the new floaters, C goes well with the H. Not seeing anything there. Not seeing anything with the O. I think it's the tiles on my own rack which are really problematic. F, H, U and P. And I'm not seeing any decent candidate prefixes or suffixes. So, how to sort the rack out? Gosh, tricky, because Codec doesn't provide access to any double word squares. Well, I can do Furphy, which definitely sorts the rack out, gets rid of all of my high scoring tiles and scores 18 points. Well, not bad. With the blank as a D, I have Dulia, but there's nowhere for that. Codec takes an S. This rack doesn't make anything with an S. So what about the... Well, I was looking at the D of hedgy and thinking about Dulia's coming down, but CO, no good. Let me consider the floaters in Furphy. This would be a 5 vowel 8. I'm not seeing anything with the F. Now the R looks like it could be useful, but that's just been blocked. Opponent has not provided anywhere for Dulia rather. Urga takes an H and an S. So what about the P? That looks promising. Is there one there? Just 1 point tiles on my rack, so any missed bingo is going to be bad in terms of equity. Not seeing anything with the P. How about the H? No. And what about the G? Well, I would have dialogue. That doesn't work. and I'm not seeing anything else. I feel I could be missing something here. Are there any 7 lesser lanes I haven't considered? I don't think so. There's row C for bingos ending IFY. And what about plays through UG? Not seeing anything. So I need to sort this rack out. And that's going to be quite hard. Well, I could play Owgly. And that does get a half-decent score of 19 points using the P and the H. Doesn't give too much away. I guess opponent could play Dex, and the rack lead looks okay. I'm going with this. Well, some more vowels, but this looks more promising. And I've got the S. Owgly, I think, takes D and S. If opponent plays down column 8 onto this triple word square, he'll be providing 4 new floaters. Well, that's exactly the tiles I feared. E and X. Oh well. I trail by 30. Do I have a bingo here? And again, I've got 1 point tiles, so if I don't, I'm not going to be able to score very much. I'm just going to have a quick squiz. I'm not feeling great about this rack, especially because there are no floaters, so I'm just looking for 7s. Not sure about agatos. I think it's agatis I'm confusing that with. Well, it could be a 7 with this rack. Some of these racks are looking like possibles. Aerosat and Owglies, if Owglies is good. Great. Okay, well, there may be others, but I'm going with this. Aerosat, and is there anywhere else for that? No, I don't think so. And I draw the second blank, which is good. The rest of the rack, again, pretty non-bingo-y, but there's always the hope that the rack will mature into a bingo before the end of the game when you have a blank. And it's always good to see the blanks on your own rack because it means they're not on your opponent's. I lead by 40. It's possible I do have a bingo with this rack. I haven't written it off. I think it's unlikely that there is a 7. The opponent's provided a couple of floaters, both of which look quite useful. I'm just wondering what a prefix or suffix would look like with one or both of B and F. I guess I've got the food ending or beginning, and I've got bio with FON. I'm just going to squiz through the alphabet and see if anything leaps to mind. This doesn't feel great, but neither did the last rack. So that's the ING ending. Not seen anything so far. 3 O's unlikely. How about the R? That looks a little more promising with the 4 prefix. Let me just go back to that. So I've got the born component part. Nothing there. Food bins, not good, I don't think. 12 minutes on my clock, 50 tiles in the bag. That's the IFY ending. No, I'm not seeing anything. So where can I get rid of B and F preferably? And split up the O's. The whole of the top of the board is looking pretty tight. Well, I could play fob. Just how dangerous is that? Well, it has merit, because the F isn't very dangerous in column 1. It's going to be hard for my opponent to place a high-scoring tile on this double letter square. And if an opponent is likely to be attracted to column 1, so might get a crappy 20 or 30 point play, the advantage of which is that it leaves E and D alone. Having said that, this rack leave isn't great. If I could play off another O, it would be much better. Is there a way of doing that? I know column 10 is a bingo lane for bingos ending in S, which is quite useful. Boof isn't good. Do I have an IFY ending word? No, I don't think so. Codec has really choked up the top left of the board. I'm slightly wary of fob because it is gifting my opponent a very easy scoring spot. So alternatively, I could do this, boo-I. Well, that's not great with the Z and the J to come. So I'm thinking of going back to fob for 24. Wow, great pickup. I am very optimistic of bingoing with this rack. I've got rations in column 10. I have D ration in row O. I have rationed in row O. Do I have something through the F? This is a very bingo-y set of tiles. And I wasn't expecting such good fortune. So a word with F in this spot could end Fin. Wow, fantastic bingo for opponent. 86 points. Fortunately, I can come straight back with a bingo of my own, and that was just the tile opponent needed. Well, that happens sometimes. D ration for 77. Not such a good rack, no blank on it, but I have an I to go with the Q. Still one U to come. The 3 U's on the board don't help. I have Chi in column 10, Chi and Tai, or T, and I have Chi above D ration. The rack leave's going to be pretty awful. I'm just wondering about Oki, spelled I-E, as a way of sorting the rack out. I think Oki's is good. Maybe not. So, if I had an S, I would have cheese and aerosats. Chi at the top of the board doesn't score very much. And given that every opportunity I provided my opponent he's taken, and I'm thinking of decks and net surfs, he would probably have the final U. My lead is quite slender, just 20 odd points. And there's still a Z and J to come, and an S and a few E's, so plenty of bingo potential and other scoring potential. 34 tiles in the bag, 9 minutes on my clock. Chi above D ration would be ideal. It would take out floaters. It would take out the N and the T in particular. Not many bingos end I or O. Am I overlooking any Q spots? Well, I am, because I have cat and era. Doesn't score very much, but it does interrupt S ending bingos. So that might be worth considering if opponent blocks my preferred spots. Through a P, I would have a capique, 1p to come, and the P of Furphy not available. Opponent down to 14 minutes. He's played fairly quickly. Wow, look at that net surfs. I'm feeling slightly hard done by because bingoing through an F doesn't happen terribly often. And that was just the perfect tile for my opponent. However, if you take out the F and consider his rack, it was pretty good. He has unrests, so he would have played that elsewhere. So G in row N would score over 30 points. That would be pretty handy. Where are the scoring spots for my K? Well, I have Koa above Aerosat. Not a huge scoring spot. Koa also in column 2. I have K, A, I, E on my rack. But at the moment, my thoughts are to play the Q with the I, so I may be quite reluctant to play off the I. Having said that, there are a ton of I's to come. I think this is the first move opponent has spent a while on, and he takes my preferred spot, but he also takes out loads of bingo lanes which he could have used. So, what to do here? Is there any point hanging on to the Q? Well, the only point would be if I could sort the rest of the rack out. There's still a ton of vowels to come, and I've got a ton of vowels on my rack. I'm just checking Oki. And that's not good. Great, I can completely forget about that. If I played with my K on this triple letter square, I would just be providing an easy scoring spot in column 3. Li takes nothing in front, so Milt has crushed to the bottom of the board. I'm thinking of playing Cat because I have an I. It's taking out an S lane, which I'd like to do since I'm level and I have the tempo. And Chi in column 10 would provide a new bingo lane in column 11. And I myself have got an I for going after the Q, so I could play Koi next turn. And that's not terribly useful for opponent. I'm going with this. I draw the U. Okay. And I have the J, which is good. So that's a scoring tile. And I have a very slender lead, just 17 points. I would be really screwed by a bingo. But not a huge number of bingo lanes on this board. I guess column 2 the best. So it's not an S lane bingo, unless it ends something S. But maybe I should be looking to play in that spot. I could play Duke. But do I have anything lower down? I have Joe. That's even better. Because it's harder for opponent to score off the J, and it's getting the J tripled. What about my I spot? Not seeing anything great ending in I. Opponent changes. Fantastic. So 7 minutes on my clock. I wonder what he changed. The rest of the Tiles look very balanced and very bingo-y. Maybe he just had all vowels. Anyway, this is what I'm thinking of. Joe here for 30 points. It is creating a new bingo lane, but it's a more restricted one than that available in column 2. And this rack leave isn't terrible because the K is a good scoring tile. So, am I missing something? Well, possibly. I could play JEU in row K. So 30 points for Joe, JEU. $34 points, and I'm getting rid of the U. And I'm going to do that because the rack leave is better, the score is better, and if opponent bingos in column 2, then he'll be providing access to this triple word square in column 1 and overlapping opportunities in column 3. So I should have a decent score with the K. Yeah, I'm going with this. Not great. Vowel heavy. I have Okia on my rack. Wow, opponent. I was half expecting opponent to bingo, having pulled out of blocking a bingo lane. And I was looking at Okia in column 2, but that doesn't get doubled. What I can do is play that in column 11, and I quite like the idea of turning over a lot of tiles. And I'm pretty much taking out column 12 as a bingo lane. It would be a huge overlap play. That would force opponent to bingo in column 2, which would give me scoring opportunities. So Okia for 24. Opponent could come back with a Z play on this double letter square, but I think I'm just going to live with that risk. Am I? Yes, I am. Well, I have a few scoring tiles. I have Magpie available in column 2. Not sure about in page. Does Magpie have an anagram? No. So Magpie does play in column 2. Great, where's opponent played? Lane parallel for only 23 points, fantastic. Only 11 tiles left. Again, a bingo in column 13 would involve a big overlap. I do have a slender lead. Magpie here is a decent score, and I'm taking out a bingo lane. Knee or nay takes an M after it. But I don't have anything which gets doubled in column 13 using that. So Magpie slightly risky in that opponent could score well with the W or the Z around there, but it wouldn't be a bingo. And I'm taking 6 of the remaining 11 tiles, so we'd be rapidly into the end game. I'm going with this. And I draw the Z. Fantastic. This is a pretty promising looking rack. Just wondering if triazon is good. I think I'm confusing it with triaxon. But this is a nice looking rack at this point in the game. I just need to survive an opponent's bingo, but even if he does bingo, I've got good scoring prospects. I was going to say I have Tiz, but I don't because of IM. Do I have a Z play, a something Z play? And it would have to be AZ or OZ. Well, opponent goes. He goes up there for only 34 points. 1 tile in the bag. Remaining tiles are not bingo-y. I lead by 26 points. There are 3 minutes on my clock. So how to play this endgame. Where can I play my Z? And I'm just looking at this triple letter square to see if I can get my Z on that. And with this board, I could really do with having quite a bit of time, but I don't have that luxury. I'm down to just 3 minutes on my clock. So I have Nazir, which is good because my opponent's going to struggle to score off this Z. And this is quite a balanced 4-letter set. And the score is good, 28 points. So I've still got nearly 3 minutes left. Let me have a look around the board and see if there's something better. I was thinking about Nazify, but it doesn't get doubles. Nothing I have goes in front of Okia. What about a column 13 play? Not seeing anything there. What about a parallel play? Yeah. So, wow. What about Zona? 41 points is a good score. I just paused in case opponent has got a Z play, a 6-letter Z play which would get tripled, but I can see what he's got, and I don't think he has one. And it'll be easier for me to play off 4 tiles than 5, and this is a bigger score. Am I going with this? Does opponent have a big column 4 play, beginning with an O? No, he doesn't. I'm going with this. So, Riot and Trio, do I have an out? I have Riot and out. I can see what opponent's got. Pretty sure he doesn't have a bingo unless I've overlooked it. I don't have a Z play. So I have Riot in column 13. Do I have a second spot? Well, I may not. I may not, which would be a shame. I think I'm far enough ahead to win if opponent doesn't bingo. I have a 60-point lead. Rosit is good, but that doesn't work. Agar is good. Nothing goes in front of Hedgie. Do I have something onto or through the E? Well, not that I can think of. I thought when I first saw this rack that there would be 2 spots to go out in. But at the moment, all I've seen is Riot in column 13. I have 1 minute on my clock. I do have Zorai, which doesn't go out but does score something. Knee or Nay doesn't take anything I've got. So what are the anagrams of Riot? There's Trio and Tyro and Roti. Roti, that would be a higher scoring play in column 13. Not seeing anything else. I'm still looking for spots to play 4 tiles. None of these pairs in the bottom right look particularly useful. And opponents has not got a great rack. If he hasn't got a bingo, and I don't think he does, then it's a pretty tricky rack to deal with. I drew the O, so his rack was even worse than it looked. Still looking for places to play 4 tiles that I haven't yet considered. But there aren't many. So 7 minutes on opponent's clock and 1 on mine. Opponent goes in the spot that I was going, and all I had lined up was Zorai. He's got BD. Does he have 2 spots for that? He has bed. Does he have a second spot? So should I be blocking that E? 1 minute on my clock. Rota. Well, what about just playing Rot? Not blocking his out, but my win is guaranteed. This is 18 points. Zori, only 14. Yeah, I am going with this. And I think opponent has Deb and bed. Yeah. And the final score, 361 for my opponent, 406 for me, a winning margin of 45 points. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. No bingo here, and Hedgie looks fine. Opponent's rack, pretty grim. Plays Kodak. And now this is my rack. I played Furphy for 18. I could have got more. I could have played Hod, F6, but keeping F, U, and P. So I could have got 13 more points. Is Blanco 13 points better than blank FPRU? Very hard to compare these rack leaves, because I think blank 0, or blank O rather, is more bingo-y, but blank FPRU is going to score more on the times when I don't bingo. But just having a guess at this, blank 0 I would say is worth in the high 20s, maybe 28. Blank FPRU, I would put that down in the around 18. So I'd say there's about a 10-point difference between those rack leaves, in which case I prefer my play of Furphy. Opponent's rack plays Tig. Wow, missed bingo. Poulan. There was a bingo through the P. 61 points. I played Oogly for 19, but there was a bingo there. Well done if you spotted that. Opponent's rack. And he plays Dex, which is a great score, and I now trail. But I have Aerosat for 72 to bring me back in the game, and that was the only bingo. Opponent's rack, pretty grim. Plays Raved. And now I looked for a bingo, but I couldn't find one. And there was one. Bloodfin 04 through the D. Wow, very tricky one to see. Harder than Poulan, I think. Well done again if you spotted that. I didn't. And I played Fob for 24, which I think is fine if there wasn't a bingo to miss. Now, opponent's rack, and this was a fantastic spot. Very difficult word to see, even if you know it. It doesn't come easily to mind, I find. And there were some other bingos, but net surfs was best. Fortunately, trailing by 40, I have drawn well and can come back with D-ration and a ton of other bingos available. Opponent's rack plays Milt, and now I lead by 2, And this is a very finely balanced game. Not a huge number of bingo lanes, but there are available lanes. And I have a tricky rack. So I play cats because I wanted to get rid of the Q. I wanted to take out the S lane. But look at this. Terrible rack for opponent. And is this where he changes? It is. And we're both troubled by vowels, but I have a slightly better rack, and I can play je for 36. Opponent has drawn 3 N's and a V, so pretty unlucky. Plays Nevi, and now I have a 30-point lead. And I play Okia for 24, which I like because it takes out a bingo lane and it significantly eats into the remaining tile pool, which limits my opponent's likelihood of bingoing. And he hasn't got a great rack. He plays lane, and now I'm about 30 points ahead. And I play Magpie for 28. Impy, B13. Yeah, possibly. It's the same score and a better rack lead, but it's opening up a new bingo lane and leaving column 2 alone, so I very much prefer my play. Opponent's rack just not maturing into a bingo. Plays Wiener. And now I have only a 26-point lead, but there's 1 tile in the bag. The remaining tiles are pretty rubbishy, and I've got a promising rack. So I have Zona for 41. That looks fine. Opponent plays Willies. Now, is there an out? There is not. And I play Rot for 18. And that looks best. And fine. Well, I say it looks best. Opponent has got only 1 out, so it's quite possible that the best play would have been to block that out and to go out in 2. But it doesn't really matter in the sense that it's only dealing with a very, very small amount of winning margin. The actual result of the game had been decided before then. So a really good game. We were very close throughout, and opponent got some good scores with decks and net serps, but then the tide turned at some point and I managed to ease into a slight lead. My opponent was then troubled with grim racks, and I had a few nice enough racks to keep scoring and to move into about a 50-point winning margin. So many thanks to my opponent for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.